Gentlemen, influence is everything. Think about it. It's essentially the driving force behind all leadership, right? It happens in the community with your neighbors. It happens at work with coworkers, or especially with employees. And it happens at home with our spouse, with our children. If you lose influence, you've lost essentially what it means to be a leader and what it means to be a father, right? And a husband. You lose influence and you've lost it. So how do we keep influence? How do we gain influence? See, too often we think it's supposed to be automatic. Like people are just supposed to listen to you. I don't know why, because you're the dad, because you're the boss, right? Because you're a good guy. But influence is never automatic. It has to be earned. Now you're like, well, come on, man. I earned it, right? Like, I brought you into this world with your kids. You're like, I brought you into this world. I've been paying for you for years. You're expensive, like late nights and no losing sleep and changing diapers and feeding you and taking care of you. I've earned it. But that's from our accounting, not from theirs. Same in the office, right? You might think, look, I gave you this job. I'm the boss here. I started this company. You know, I've grinded. I stayed up late and woke up early and put in the midnight oil, and I've been giving my blood, sweat, and tears to this business, so I've earned it. But that's not how it works. That accounting only works for you. We have to earn it again and again and again and keep earning it. So influence is not automatic, remember that. It has to be earned. And so we'll talk about it in just a second here. I really want you to think about that and spend some time writing about it. How can you earn greater influence in the lives of the people you want and need to influence? And then number two, it's not episodic. It doesn't happen in episodes. We think that influence is going to happen in a moment, like, oh man, crisis mode here at work or in the neighborhood or the community or the nation or in our church or our organization or business or in our family, like, oh man, like things are getting crazy. This moment is real. It's mission critical, and it might be with a kid who's making poor decisions or has gone into a transition. You'll especially see this when your children go into their teenage years, the adolescence, and then as they become young adults. But it's not episodic. It doesn't happen in an episode. It doesn't happen in a moment. See, real, true, powerful influence is earned and gained over time, and it really comes down to this. It's all about who you are and how you live. Here's why. If you don't live the message, you suck as the messenger. Let me say that again. That is worth writing down and thinking about for the rest of your life. If you do not live the message, you suck as the messenger. And the intensity with which we live the message, right? The intensity with which you and I live the principles and practices we're trying to share determine how much influence we have in the lives of those around us. Like, let that sink in. It is huge. Because if you have, let's say you want your kids to do something, or your employees to do something, and you do it kind of halfway. You're kind of there, not really consistent. You don't always follow through. You're not nailing it yourself. You're just kind of like, we should do this, and then you expect a different outcome. But it's always going to be the same. Your influence, just check this out. This is so powerful. I want you to see your influence as an indicator of how you're doing. Like, pretend that it's a gauge on your dashboard. And when you have a lot of influence, you're doing well. And when your influence drops, look at you first and how you're living your life. Now, here's what's interesting. It's not always lined up exactly in line with one thing. So if you're trying to get your kids to be healthy and fit, and you're healthy and fit, then you think, well, man, they should listen to me because I work out, I eat well, like they should be healthy and fit. But they don't always see it that way. The people around us, they look at the whole picture. They look at all of you, and they might look at this other area of your life and think, man, you're so inconsistent over here. Like, for example, what if you don't follow through on what you say you're going to do? right? If you make and then break commitments, or you start things but you rarely finish them, and you just struggle following through or being consistent, they see that. And so they might look over here and be like, yeah, you're doing well over here, but over there you kind of suck. And they're not going to be able to articulate it, but they just sense it. Like, I'm not sure I should really listen to you, because you're not owning it in every area of your life. And so if you are inconsistent, if you don't follow through, if you don't keep your word, if you're totally neglecting important parts of your life, people will notice that. They always do. And so ultimately, the absolute key to influence is who you are and how you live. It's your way of being that makes the biggest difference in influence. So when it gets particularly challenging, say with like teenagers and young adults, and I get to work with people every day. Like I get to do coaching and with group coaching and individual coaching and couples and parents, and I've been doing this for over 2 decades, right, across 5 continents. The golden key, the master key to maintaining influence with your teens, who then become young adults and then adults, is that you have to keep leveling up. Yeah. You get to keep leveling up, because your children, when they're little, they look up to you and you have more influence. But when they get older, they start kind of looking sideways at you. And they start to go out and have other sources of influence and input, right? From social media to music to movies to friends. The more friends' houses they go to, the more outside voices they hear with teachers or whatever, the more they're going to start comparing. And if they start looking back and noticing that you're not really leading out, that you're not living as your best self, then you start to lose influence in a major way. So the key to maintaining and even increasing influence with your teens and your young adult children, and then your adult children, which you got to have, you guys. And I hope you have a vision for that. I hope you want to be a positive influence for good in the world. I know I do. I want to have a growing positive influence on the people around me for the rest of my life. And I never want that to fall or decline or go away. And the only reason it would is if I stop living as my best self, or I keep neglecting important things in my life thinking it won't have an impact. It totally does, even down to the little things. There's this great quote by James Allen where he talks about how we kind of discount the little things, right? We treat them with levity, thinking, it's not that big of a deal. Like, what's the big point? You're making a big deal out of it. Like, nobody really cares. And so we dismiss the little things, right? The little wasting of time here, and the inappropriate comment there, and a few extra pounds here, and well, let's let that slide over there. And we allow these little things to get in the way. And he says that very thing is what undoes our influence. It's the way we treat the little things. It's the details. And if we don't hold ourselves to a standard of excellence, then people, without the ability to even articulate it, they just start looking and say, you know what? I'm not going to listen. Or I might pretend to be listening, but I'm not going to let that person lead me or influence me. And true influence is when people want to be influenced by you, when they want to be led. And the key to that, you guys, of course, is if your life is a stellar example. It's who you are. It's how you live that gives you influence. So is your life worthy of being modeled? I recently read a book with my teens, and this line just was so powerful. He said, never accept advice from someone whose life you do not want to have. Like, let that sink in for a minute. Don't accept advice from people whose life you do not want to have. And that's exactly what people are doing automatically, by default, even subconsciously. They're looking back and saying, I'm not really going to listen. And so you have to honestly ask yourself, why would your children want to listen to you? Now that makes it sound harsh, right? And throwing you under the bus. But you have to honestly ask and answer that question, because it's true. Because your kids are like, why should I listen to you? And your life better be the answer. Your life is the answer. And if you're on top of it, right, you're just taking full ownership of your life, and your life is inspiring and motivating and exciting, then they have a reason. A lot of you have lost influence because your life is so underwhelming and uninspiring. Now, I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad here. I'm just pointing out the honest truth. This is just how it works. If your life is boring and dull and unfulfilling, and people are going to, and you're trying to share a message, people are just going to look at you and be like, I don't want what you have, man. I don't want what you have. But if you're living an extraordinary life, and progress is where it matters. It doesn't have to be perfect, you guys, but it has to be progressing. If you're improving, if you're progressing, that is influence. And they'll look at that and they'll notice, they'll pay attention. And so as you're losing the extra pounds, celebrate that. Like every time 5 pounds comes off, be like, yeah, I lost 5 more pounds, let's go, boom, and show them. If you're trying to get your finances in order, every time you put more money in the savings account, every time you pay off more debt, high fives, fist bumps, celebrate, turn on some music, dance around with your coworkers because the business is getting better, or with your family because you're getting better and the family situation is getting better. Celebrate. Let your people see that you are winning. That is how you gain influence, because you're living a life that they want to live. That is how you have power, and that is how you watch the indicator, that gauge of influence, that if you're living your life well, your influence will continue to grow up, the positive influence. Now, obviously there's negative influence, and the hard reality is most children will grow up to be like their parents. Right? And you don't even have to say anything. It's just your way of being. It's the way you model. It's the way you live life. They'll follow that. So make sure your life is the kind of life that's worth modeling, that's worth emulating. Lean in. So think right now. Say, who do you want or need to have more positive influence with? And write down names. And it might be people at work. It might be people in the community. It might be people in your organization or your church. It might be people in your family. And then the most important work, write down the things that you personally need to do better to earn that influence. And then work on that consistently and vigorously until you gain it, until you earn that. That, gentlemen, is true influence. Reach upward. Hey guys, be sure, if you like these videos, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'm going to keep cranking them out. More and more videos coming in here. If you like this and you think of someone who needs this reminder, other parents, other leaders, share this video with them, and go subscribe to the Extraordinary Family Life podcast as well. Tons of great stories and examples in there, tools and training. Get into that. And I have a whole section in the Be the Man Masterclass, all about influence here, because we need to be major players in our families, in our communities, in our businesses, in the marketplace, and honestly in the world. We need it. Remember, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. That's unacceptable. Don't let that happen. Don't be one of those guys that does nothing. Do something. Earn that kind of influence so we can make a positive difference in the world. Reach upward.